Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching Shazam, the Political Vigilante. Thank you for watching our show, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. We go live several days a week, typically around 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Of course, go to grahamelwood.com for signing up for the newsletter, tour dates, and all that stuff. We've talked on the show several times last week. Last week, Cornel West announced he was running for president under the People's Party. I had Ron Placone on the show to see, is this a good idea? We broke down all of the very obvious problems with the People's Party. Conceptually, we always said we like the People's Party. Well, I was just on Status Coup earlier today, and it sounds like Cornel West is talking with the Green Party. So when Cornel West announced last week, we saw articles like this. I mean, I talked about it, and even in mainstream media, right? So look at this article. This is from The Nation. Cornel West is the right man in the wrong party. An otherwise credible left-wing challenge to Biden is hampered by the dysfunctional People's Party, right? And then there was an interview that Cornel West did on Democracy Now! With Amy Goodman, where Amy Goodman flat out asked him, what do you think about, the sexual harassment accusations by Nick Brana? And a lot of people felt like Dr. West didn't give a great answer. He kind of talked around it. I felt like Amy Goodman was sort of sandbagging him, but that's really not the point. The point is that a lot of people were like, hey, there's big problems with the People's Party. So I was just on Status Coup today, and Chris Hedges was asked a question, I think last night, and he said that and I watched the video. I was just on Status Coup's live stream where he said, yeah, I've had discussions with Cornel West. I don't have that video because I think Jordan had an exclusive of it. So you can go to if you go to Status Coup and watch the actual interview. But Jordan put this up on Status Coup's Twitter page. This is the quote about Cornel West speaking with the Green Party from Chris Hedges. Yes, the meeting took place. Other than that, there is nothing to say officially. I, of course, urge Colonel to run on the Green Party ticket. Colonel, urge Cornel to run on the Green Party ticket. So that's a quote from Chris Hedges talking about that Cornel West has met with the Green Party. Chris Hedges urged him to run on the Green Party. So there's a lot of things that Ron and I talked about that many people have talked about. Even if there were no accusations of Nick Brana, they don't have ballot access. The People's Party doesn't have ballot access. And in the 2016 election, Dr. Jill Stein, running as a Green Party candidate, was on 48 states ballot access, which is significant. So, and I think we talked about it today. We also, on Jordan, had this woman, Renee, who worked for the People's Party and talked about some very, very damning incidents as someone working within the People's Party. She called out some of the problems and was fired. There was a Slack where white members within the People's Party were saying it's okay if white people use the N-word, and she's like, what? And so I was like, wow, I was just flabbergasted at this. There's even more dysfunction within the People's Party than I thought. So, but I think, first of all, if Chris Hedges is urging Dr. West to run with the Green Party, I think that's significant. And I think Dr. West should run with the Green Party because, as Ron and I discussed, as other people have discussed, as the article in The Nation has discussed, the Green Party, even Amy Goodman said it, and there's much about a lot of stuff Amy Goodman does that I don't agree with. Democracy Now! Is very good on Palestine, but they seem to be kind of pro-NATO, pro-America backing without talking about Nazis in Ukraine. So let's discuss the Green Party and Cornel West. The Green Party is certainly not perfect. It has its problems, but it has ballot access. And first of all, let me say this. Let us all on the progressive left let go of any sort of fantasy that Dr. West is going to come in the Green Party and he's going to win and we're all going to write off and there's going to be a Green New Deal and we're all going to get saved and rescued. Let's let go of that right now. I'm not trying to be defeatist. I'm not trying to be cynical, but I think it's a problem that I've fallen into, and I think the progressive left we fall into this. We fall into this. Here comes this hero, and it might just be because we've been raised on American exceptionalism and fed American propaganda through movies where Luke Skywalker comes in and strikes down the Emperor, and him and Darth Vader, who was his dad, fall. It's great. I love you, son. At the end of Return of the Jedi. So let's let go of that. So, and I'm not here to say, oh, electoral politics is all a scam. I've always said this, and I said this through the last election. I'll say this through this one. It's important to vote. It's important to be involved with that electoral politics. If you're waiting for just all I'm going to do is vote, and this one person's going to come in and save the day, let go of that. Here are the upsides of Dr. West running as a Green, if he chooses to do so. It sounds like he is. I bet you there's going to be an announcement by the end of the week where he's like, I'm running as a Green. People's Party doesn't have their act together. Let's move forward, which would be the smart. Do this as quickly as possible and just make the People's Party a distant memory, because the Democratic Party is going to line up and assassinate the People's Party and Dr. West if he stays with them. So it's a bad play. Here's the upside of the Green Party, which, there's a lot of mistakes the Green Party makes. I think the Green Party should be focusing on getting people in state legislatures. This is something I've always said about the Green Party. They need a more cohesive thing. But the Green Party, there's evidence, and Susie Dawson has talked about this, the Green Party has been targeted. And what private intelligence and the FBI does is they infiltrate and they get everybody fighting with each other. And people on the left who aren't infiltrated are easily drawn into silly fights. It's why the left has been completely fractionalized. And if the progressive left wants to truly accomplish anything, they need to, I'm going to say this loudly, let go of, we all need to agree on everything all the time. And if we disagree on one issue, we flip the fuck out and split. Why do I say that? 2 years ago, I was like in favor of vaccine mandates, and a handful of people lost their shit. No, I'm done with Graham Elwood. That's a stupid reactionary response. You can say, I don't agree with Graham Elwood. I don't agree with that. That's fine. But then you're giving the ruling elites everything that they want, which is all of us fighting with each other. So let go of this. I've seen people like Cornel West endorsed Joe Biden. I'm done with him. I don't agree with that endorsement, but I get it. Trump was a full-on fascist and Biden is awful, so we went with the lesser of two evils. I don't agree with that stance, whatever, but that's not a reason to just bail on, just because someone does this one thing, you bail on them. So Cornel, he is a guy that can unify people. He is a guy who can do the thing the Green Party hasn't been very good at, which is the Green Party, one of my big complaints with the Green Party, it's just a lot of preaching to the choir. It's going in these already sort of liberal areas and getting disenfranchised Democratic voters to go Green, which that's fine. But if you really want to be a national political party, you need to go into red states and say, this is why the environment is good for you. This is why go to that in the Inconvenient Truth sequel, I forget the name of it, More Inconvenient Truths or whatever. Remember when Al Gore went to that town in Texas, like one of the reddest state in like the reddest county, and a very Republican right-wing city that realized it was more economically feasible to go green. They started putting solar panels on stuff. They said it just makes more sense financially, right? That's what the Green Party needs to do. It needs to go into red states and say, hey, working class red state voters who are primarily white, let's be honest, we can give you jobs. Talk on the labor issue. Labor unifies people. People of all ethnicities are unified on the fact that we're working too hard in America. The cost of living is unaffordable and we need help. So what Cornel West could do is, first of all, he is, and I voted for Dr. Jill Stein. I've had her on this show. I really like Dr. Stein. Cornel West is more well known than Dr. Stein. And that's the thing. I mean, last week when he announced, CNN was talking about it. That's big. It wasn't just Democracy Now, it was CNN. And the Democratic Party is very threatened by Cornel West, which they could try to crush his campaign any number of ways. And we'll talk about that because I'm sure they're already planning that as we speak. But what Dr. West can do is expand the conversation on and talk about how a Green New Deal actually can help working class Americans, and how, and his criticisms of the Democratic Party will get red state voters to listen. When you criticize the Republican Party and then say, yeah, but that's why Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi are here to save the day, they just tune you out, and I don't blame them. Pelosi and the Democratic Party and Biden, they're awful. When you say the Democratic Party is awful, and so is the Republican, conservative voters will listen to you because that's what you're going to need. Also, it could do something in terms of down ballot Greens would be in bold, more of them will win, because there was a poll done. I've talked about this poll before, and I talked about it on Status Coup today. Was after the last November, the midterms, the 2022 midterms, The Hill, pretty mainstream organization, did a poll of Americans. And they asked in this poll, if it's Trump versus Biden again in 2024, 59%, that's almost 2/3 of the country, said they'd vote third party. This is a huge opportunity for Dr. West and the Green Party. And what this could do is get people to say, because there's even some conservatives that are against overturning Roe v. Wade, because they kind of have to go, wait a minute, we're all, the conservatives, we're all about get the government out of our lives, but we're telling women, like in some red states, they voted down anti-Roe v. Wade legislation, like Kansas and stuff. Those are pretty red states. So I think there's an opportunity here to get the Green Party to become like a legit third party, not the sort of thing that has booths set up at farmers markets in LA and San Francisco and, you know, Boulder, Colorado and stuff like that. Like, it could really become a party that could give people a legit third party chance. I would love to see the Libertarians get elevated in this process as well. We have like 4 legit parties. Well, the 2 corporate evil ones, and then the Libertarians and the Greens. Because in a democracy, we should be able to have a national debate and discussion, a real one, where the American people can discuss and debate things, and we come up with a solution, not a handful of Wall Street people that have their little puppets in the Republican and Democratic Party. So if the Green Party gets more than 5% of the vote, that's big. If you're like, Graham, we need solutions now, the big solutions are going to come from direct actions like a general strike. It's not going to come at the ballot box. It's going to come from, the only way to get those in power to change is to go at them economically. Look what France did. They shut down their whole country because they didn't want to work an extra 2 years. So the bright spots in America, and America is a collapsing empire. It's not looking good. The bright spots are the labor movement, the 300 Starbucks that have been unionized, what Chris Smalls and everybody at the Amazon movement is doing, the labor strikes that are starting here in show business. The WGA has been on strike for about a month now. SAG-AFTRA, the union I'm in, we had over 97% of those who voted in favor of strike authorization. So the negotiations started last week on June 7th, SAG-AFTRA with the Producers Guild. And basically the big tech companies and the show business industry. So that, if the WGA and that labor movement, I really hope the entertainment unions realize that it's not just, I hope the entertainment unions get on board with the whole labor movement. The entertainment union should be boycotting Amazon Prime. the entertainment union should only be buying coffee from unionized Starbucks, and they should have on their website, these are the unionized Starbucks in LA, because that's a big thing on a set. You go, the PAs go out and get coffee for the crew or whatever. We should be like, only buy from these Starbucks. That should be a huge thing. And the WGA and the DGA, which is the Directors Guild, and SAG-AFTRA should get behind these. So it sounds like I'm going off on a tangent, but what I'm showing you is the whole big picture here, which is what we do. We follow the money, we connect the dots, and we get the truth. So this could be a very good thing in terms of elevating the Green Party, in terms of getting the biggest block of voters in America is people that don't vote. Get them off the sidelines, that could do something. Getting people that have been completely abandoned and disenfranchised by both these parties to go, wait a minute, this guy makes sense. He is a guy that can unify people. But again, if you're sitting here waiting for him to wave in and blow up the Death Star and we all ride off into the sunset, that's a fool's errand. Some good can come out of this. I'm going to cover this. We have a long way to go between here and November 24th. We have a long way to go. So getting debating this or that about the Green Party, the People's Party, the Green Party will have a primary. So, a lot needs to happen. First of all, Dr. West needs to say I'm running in the Green Party. That needs to officially happen, which hasn't. And then the Green Party needs to have a primary, which I'm sure the Democrats will try to blow up and turn into a big fight and get people within the Green Party to fight and show the Green Party's in disarray and Dr. West to try to crush his campaign. And there's problems within the Green Party. So we'll see what happens. There's lots going to happen between now and it's not November 2024. It's June of 23. So we have June, July, August, September, October, right? We got about 17 months before the election. 17, 18 months, right? Lots going to happen. Joe Biden will not be the one running because of his health. Mark my words. And that'll be Kamala, and they will probably try not to have an open primary against Kamala, or maybe they will. The Republican primary is going to be a hilarious clown car of psychopaths and fascists, which we will cover. So getting all worked up about this, Cornel with this party or not with that, is if you want to spend the energy on it, go for it. I don't. I'm going to watch. This is cool. I think this is a positive development that he's potentially going to go with the Greens instead of the Movement for the People's Party. That's positive. The fact that he's running, that's positive. The fact that he could run with the Greens is more positive, and we'll see what happens. And we'll cover it on the show as best we can. We'll try to get Cornel West on the show. If he is running, it sounds like, I bet you Chris Hedges will be working within his campaign. We've had Chris Hedges on the show. I'll get Dr. Jill Stein back on the show, and we'll talk about it. And I'll have him on the show, and I'll ask him point blank questions. What are you going to do with Ukraine and the neo-Nazis that work in Ukraine? What are you going to do about all of the people tied to Epstein? Are you going to prosecute them? It's great if he's for Medicare for all and he's for forgiving student loan debt. That's fantastic. What's your Green New Deal going to look like? I'm going to ask him really straightforward questions, not because I'm trying to make him look bad and because I like and respect the man. I don't know him personally, but if you're going to run for president, I want to know. I don't blindly follow anybody anymore, man. Sorry. And of all of the people running, I'm probably that's the guy I would vote for the most. There's a lot about RFK that I don't agree with, but I'm glad he's running, and Marianne Williamson, I'm glad they're both running. They should be allowed to debate Joe Biden. That just shows you how weak and scared the Democratic Party is, that they don't even want to have a debate with RFK Jr. and Marianne Williamson. Just shows you how scared they are. So it's going to be an interesting election, but like I said, We have 17 months before by the time November 24 rolls around, it could be Lady Gaga versus The Rock. We'll cover it the whole way. And, I hope Dr. West running changes the face of American politics for the better. I really hope that. But in the meantime, America's collapsing. It's not a question, is America going to collapse? We are in the middle of a collapse. It's weird to notice because we live in the middle of it, but we're in the middle of a collapse. It's the only questions are, how far will the collapse and how deep and when will it end? And what America will look like when the collapse is over. But we're in the middle of one. So, grow your own vegetables, buy Bitcoin. I'd stay away from the other cryptos because those are being highly regulated by the SEC, which is like a rogue organization, the SEC. Follow me on social media. Go to GrahamElwood.com. You can watch my comedy special, Manifested, which has been censored. It's such a censored special. I've had 5 Instagram ads. I tried to buy ads just showing clips of my special saying, hey, Instagram followers, follow my special, go watch the full special. 5 ads have been rejected. They don't even want my money. I had a billboard rejected. I've been demonetized for over 3 years. So this country is not a representative democracy. We don't have freedom of speech. We don't have freedom of press. We are a kleptocracy run by oligarchs. And I hope Dr. West can break through. But I've had my home taken. I've been censored. I've been attacked. I've been listed on 24 private intelligence documents that Susie Dawson came on the show and told us about. But, watch Government Secrets. I've been attacked just because I had a view that some lefties didn't agree with regards to mandates. Everyone lost their shit over that. So I lost a lot of faith in a lot of progressive lefties because they're just a bunch of humorless reactionaries that just want to argue rather than find real solutions and are unwilling to put their own egos to the side to find a better solution. I want to make the world a better place in whatever way I can. So if you're down with that, follow me. If you want to bitch and moan and scream, kindly from the bottom of my vegetarian heart, go fuck yourself. So follow the money, connect the dots, get the truth. Go to GrahamElwood.com, tour dates. Sign up for my newsletter. You get a free vegan smoothie recipe with the newsletter. And shave your knuckles for justice. Boom.